Yo, what's up everybody? Welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about the history of Rain across like all DOU formats. I guess like not really history, but kind of like more of like an overview of like how the archetype like has varied like depending on the gen. In a way it's like kind of a history, but you know, of course all these old gens are also like being developed all the time, so it's kind of more of a snapshot I guess of like the way Rain is like generally played across all DOU tiers. I don't know, just an idea for like a series I've had for a while, so I'll be trying to do this with like kind of like several different archetypes, but Rain really seemed like one of the most clear cut to me, so I figured I'd record this just as kind of like a, you know, like a bellwether of whether like uh, it's actually viable to like kind of like analyze it this way, you know? Because if it's hard to do it for Rain, chances are like I'm not even gonna be able to do it for any other archetype either. Um, so yeah, so I guess we'll start off with like ADV, where Rain is well, okay. First off, what kind of constitutes a Rain team? So, Rain is like a really interesting weather, just in general, because it has maybe like the strongest like offensive benefits of any weather, like up there, right? Like in a lot of the more recent gens, Sun probably has like higher like offensive benefit, just because of like the abusers, but especially like in the really old gens, I guess, kind of like up until like Zard Y exists, um, Rain kind of like has simultaneously like more offensive benefit from its weather and also like the most defensive benefit of its weather. So even though like the ways to set Rain are not actually like necessarily like the strongest themselves, like in Gen 3 and Gen 4, you actually like set Rain like manually, like click Rain Dance. And then in Gen 5 you just have Polytoad. Even though like the ways to set Rain are like not maybe particularly like the strongest, it's still like far and away like the strongest weather. Just because it has such like great offensive benefits with like Pokemon like Kingdra. And so Kingdra is like kind of like the main guy we'll be talking about here for like the first couple gens. In addition to kind of like the Rain Setters, as we watched this replay from Double Derby earlier this year, um, where we can see Kingdra doing his best to win this game, claiming kill after kill. And these really early gens, the thing you kind of have to keep in mind is that Kingdra's typing is just like really, really broken, right? So you have like the Water Dragon is just like only weak to Dragon, and there's also like not that many like great Dragon moves, so it's just like an incredible neutral typing that really just like doesn't have weaknesses for the most part, especially in like ADV where like the Dragon move just like doesn't exist. OC Kingdra whiff two of its final Hydro Pumps to lose the game. Quite tragic. But yeah, Kingdra is just like an excellent Pokemon in ADV. So even though like you kind of have to dedicate like a lot of support to actually get it going, and it doesn't even like have really an item in this gen, like you can just learn like Lumberry, um, which is like to be clear quite good because Thunderwave is like a thing. Um, but yeah, this Pokemon's just like quite good. Like you look at these stats, and Kingdra is like still like like in a Gen 9 context, these stats are not that incredible, but they're still like passable. So you can imagine just like how good they are on some of these like early gens. As we'll see like some of these replays. So the thing in Gen 3, like there's some really funny mechanics. Like Surf is because it's a well, okay. First of all, Surf only hits the opponent. It doesn't hit your ally. But at the same time, the way moves like that work in ADV is that they have their damage like halved um, from the spread, as opposed to like in modern games where it's 3/4, which is like quite a big nerf to like Surf, but like it's still like a move you run on it at times. And then Hydro Pump is just obviously like ridiculously strong. It's 120 BP in these gens, and then Ice Beam is just like good coverage. So it's like bulk is quite good, its typing is quite good, and then offensively, obviously, it just has brain boosted Hydro Pump. So it's a really good mon. And then you also see like there's Ludicolo as well, which is a really interesting mon in these old gens, just because it actually has Fake Out, and that is like quite like a valuable trait. And like a lot of these mods can like also carry Rain Dance, although as you see in this game, it's actually Zapdos that clicked Rain Dance. And so here is where we're going to get into like some of the really interesting stuff about like what makes Rain, right? So like there's so many different kinds of mods that can benefit from Rain. Like there's Pokemon that benefit offensively, like obviously the Swift Swimmers, Kingdra and Ludicolo. What makes them so strong as opposed to like the chlorophyll mons is the chlorophyll mons never really actually have like fire damage for the most part. And if they do, it's non-stab. But rain mons obviously stab, rain boosted like moves are just like so good. Um, so there's a Pokemon like that. Then there's like the electric types, clicking like thunder or whatever, just like a ridiculously strong move in these early gens, especially. Um, and later gens you'll also have like options for like hurricane mons, but that's like a little bit less common because by the time we get to those gens where hurricane's actually a move, there's like generally like other things you want to be doing with those slots. And then there's obviously like the mons that benefit a lot from rain being up that are just like defensively, not quite as like main beneficiaries as like Swift Swim mons, but um, still like turning off that fire weakness, especially for like a mon like Metagross with just like best type, one of the best typings in the game, like Steel Psychic, and ADV. It's just like really nice. So Steel types, and then obviously you see Heracross here, and so kind of like the main thing to keep in mind for Rain in this gen is actually that there's like obviously like setting Rain Dance is like it feels kind of bad, but it's still quite powerful just because of like the myriad of ways that like your Pokemon can actually like benefit from it, and you have just enough tools to like actually like form coherent teams with it, which is really cool. But there's a couple of things to keep in mind, right? Like obviously like Latias not being in the tier is like pretty good for Rain. Just like that, like the best dragon type in the game. But the main guy in this tier that you have to be afraid of is like Celebi, which obviously is like quite a threat, and I think that's kind of why you saw Heracross on that last Rain team. Heracross is kind of like specifically used for a few reasons, but one of them is because like, well, okay, it hits Snorlax, which is such a Spadef that it's also kind of an issue for Rain. And also it hits Celebi, which typing is just like really good into Rain. Like obviously like you have Ice Beam for it, but it's still like not the best. Like it's just a grass type. It's just generally tends to be good into the Rain team. And so yeah, this one, you see the Rain Dance doesn't actually come out until like looks like turn. Oh wait, no, I got clicked twice. Okay, so yeah, Kingdra's in, Broken Kingdra. It's like such a good mon. Like especially like Gen 3 and Gen 4, like it's, the options to deal with it are just like so like minuscule compared to like present day Pokemon. Alright, so Kingdra's in. Oh, big Hydro Pump miss. +1 Megaform, just barely doesn't kill Suicune. No, Suicune's also a guy you kind of have to be afraid of in Gen 3 and Gen 4. It's not really a guy after that, but it's such a like a threatening Calm Mind Sweeper. But you see Heracross there was able to like chip it for a lot of damage. As we see Aerodactyl, which I mean, it's just like good mon in this format. Kind of go in here. Big Hydro Pump finally kills the Arcanine. Oh my god, ADV. Oh, ADV. Okay, missing that Hydro Pump was probably a bigger deal than getting the boost. Such a funny format. And so I think like when like Boom was legal, I think you'd often see like Gengar as like the Rain Dance clicker because it can just like click Rain Dance then click Explosion. But these days it's usually like Zapdos or like Raikou or something of that nature, or really or can just be on like Kingdra or Ludicolo themselves, right? Because like they don't really have other moves you'd run anyways for the most part, especially like Ludicolo. It's just like fake out Hydro Pump, probably like Ice Beam, sometimes Grass move, and then Rain Dance. I don't know if it actually had it this game. Might not have. I've just seen it before. But like obviously like Zapdos is a great mon to run it on because Zapdos kind of has like a flexible 4th move slot and is like the best mon in the tier. It just has, and then like getting that strong Thunder is just crazy. Like Zapdos is just nuts in these older tiers. Alright, so that's another replay. Let's see. We're gonna get one where Rain actually wins. I kind of like handpicked these from Derby. I didn't really feel like going through like a lot of the individual tours, so you got to keep in mind these are like a good like 9 or 10 months old now, or maybe not that much, like more like 8 or 9. Um, but obviously, like the kind of like the team structures in these formats haven't changed like a whole lot. They've changed more in DPP, where like Boom is now banned, but that's still fresh enough. And I'm kind of just going to talk about like the Rain teams that have been used like recently, even in like the Boom era, because like some things are going to be different, but we haven't really had time to fully see how the metagame's going to shake out. So we see the Rain Dance come out from the Zapdos again, and that Metagross is just such a great Pokemon. Like the nice thing about Rain in these formats is like some of the best Pokemon in the tier like just like passively benefit from them, but they're also like great Pokemon with like outside of Rain as well, so they're not really dependent on it, and that's kind of just like what makes it so good. But also, yeah, here's Thunder Wave, but thankfully it's ADV, so there's no better item to run than Lun Berry. Let's see a Mets, that's pretty interesting. Often runs like DD in this format. But I can probably also run CB. It's not the most common mon. When I played the tier a little bit more actively a couple of years ago, I think it was considered like a tier 4 mon-ish. I don't know like how much that's actually changed. But yeah, I just see like Zapdos just like planning clicking buttons. We haven't actually seen like the Kingdra in the back do anything yet, but obviously like a pretty big lead has been gained, just from like this lead. And I mean, like obviously like running Thunder is pretty committal, so we see here that the Zapdos was just T-Bolt to have like an accurate move outside of Rain anyways. But it looks like Ludicolo is just like in such an incredible position here. Yeah. Ludicolo is an interesting one. It's like obviously like not the greatest thing in the world, but it's really not bad, especially in like these older tiers. We see another Rain Dance come out from that Mets, so sets up perfectly for potential mon in the back. So yeah, that's going to be this one. Yeah, Kingdra in the back, as expected. So all the ones we saw here were Zapdos, but you can also see Raikou on these teams as well. Just not, I guess, on the ones that I picked out. So yeah, it's not like the most common archetype in this tier, but it's definitely something that like has to be respected. And I think the main things of this archetype is it really has to worry about the like Celebi and Suicune, like those Calm Mind guys. But you do have tools for it, right? You can have you can put like random HP bug on stuff, or you could put Heracross on your team. Obviously, another Rain beneficiary. And yeah, so that's kind of ADV. Not much to say. Like just the mons here are just like really good that you have access to. So even though it's like you're clicking manual Rain Dance, it's fine. All right, so then we go to DPP. DPP is kind of an interesting case. So like I said for ADV, like while Boom was legal in DPP, like Gengar was the guy that set Rain Dance. Sometimes Azelf as well. Although I think that was kind of like maybe a later innovation than Derby, because I don't remember seeing that as much back then. But yeah, we could see Gengar, like, even just this game, just clicking Shadow Ball gets a ton of value. Big crit onto the Mew. But yeah, so in DPP, a couple things to keep in mind. T-Tar is in both tiers, by the way, in ADV and DPP, obviously, but it's kind of like a bigger guy in DPP. So Rain is has like kind of like the passive benefit of like being like pretty good at that guy, but also like it's just like a weather matchup, so I can kind of like go both ways. But that kind of opens up a lot of dynamics, and obviously like having like the manual Rain Dance, although it's kind of unideal, like it can still be pretty annoying for T-Tar. But it is like that's kind of like the main weather. Above Snow, if it shows up, obviously, is gonna have like a pretty great matchup into Lily's Rain teams. But now Kingdra has Draco Meteor, and so that's just like a ridiculously strong 140 BP move that completely complements hitting like the Dragon type, which is really good. And so, if anything, Rain is like probably stronger in DPP, because Kingdra like obviously like actually gets to use its second stab now, and Muddy Water is stronger as well, like just as a spread move, because it doesn't no longer it's not like Surf in ADV where like you hit both opponents, and so your base power is like 1/2. now like we actually have like proper spread damage. Okay, on PS we don't. Side note, but on cartridge like spread damage in DPP is weird. So basically like if you hit one Pokemon and you knock it out, the target that gets hit second will like take full damage and not even spread damage, which isn't even like on PS. So ADV in that sense is actually, or DPP, I'm confused. In that sense, it's like actually kind of flawed because it's not like fully card accurate. Um, but regardless, like Muddy Water is like a much more clickable button, and then Kingdra now has like Draco Meteor to click. So even though like Latias is legal, like obviously like you hit that quite hard, which like in ADV you wouldn't be able to do that if Latias was in the tier because Kingdra just doesn't have dragon moves in that format. But now it's like quite good, so Kingdra is just like really, really strong, and now it has like actual proper offensive items. Looks like a lot of the time it's usually like Specs, I think, but obviously you could run like a Life Orb or something, but Specs is just like so strong on it. And now like on this team we see like multiple like manual rain setters, and then Metagross is still like the GOAT, so like it just like benefits from rain, but is also just like a great Pokemon outside of it. And we don't know like what the last Pokemon here was, but yeah, let's go on to the next one. So yeah, rain is like just like especially strong in DPP. And it was like even more incredible like with Boom Legal, because Gengar is just like so great at like clicking Rain Dance and then like exploding and like doing a billion damage. So we'll have to see like where kind of Rain goes from there, but definitely like a big nerf to have like these fast like Rain Dance guys no longer be able to like click Boom and like do a billion to wipe the board. So yeah, big Kingdra is in. Just looking so threatening. I just killed the Zapdos from 81. That's just ridiculous. And now we got Latias coming in here, obviously with Kingdra choice locked into Muddy Water. It can't really like do too much there, but just got that safe defensive Metagross switch in. And it just like looks like really difficult to come back from this lead. Oh, Healing Wish. That's kind of fire. Doesn't get stored in this gen, but that's just like a good pivot there. So yeah, the usual suspects like Thunder Clicker, like Zapdos or Raikou, can also click Rain Dance, and then Metagross, and then just followed out with like good stuffs, right? Actually sees sub Zapdos here. As Metagross just clicks Broken Meteor Mash and kills the Latias. But now I guess we're gonna see Kingdra come back in here, and now it's just like, yeah. Kingdra is such a crazy mod in these formats, man. It's just ridiculous. That's kind of like what makes it cool, right? You see like how a mod's been like around since the very beginning. Has been played in like every like different tier. Yeah. Yeah, it's just Rain is so good once it like actually gets set up. And like, is that all that I got for DPP? It very well might have been. GG. Alright, so now we're gonna talk about BW. So now in BW, the change that's really big for Rain is now we actually have access to Politoed with Drizzle. And in all the gens before Gen 6, Rain is actually permanent if you get it from an ability. Whereas like manual Rain Dance like is on a counter, so like Rain Rain in this tier like just doesn't run out. But also at the same time like T-Tar is still a thing. And then you have like Pokemon like Kyurem Black that are just like generally good into Rain. Being added Amoonguss as well. But still Rain is just like so strong with like that permanent weather. And for a long time, or at least like in the time that I've like followed this tier, it was usually played with Gothitelle, which was just like really, really, really oppressive. And eventually Gothitelle has like gotten banned earlier this year. So we'll have to see like where Rain goes from here. But there's a few different things introduced that are like really great that we see on the team for Rain. And so now like we're no longer running Zapdos. Zapdos kind of like its power crept out by like Gen 5. And so instead the Thunder Clicker is actually Thunderous Therian, which like it can both it just like hits harder, it's faster. And importantly in this gen is a T-Wave immunity with Volt Absorb. While like Thunder Wave is still like a very big issue. And now you have like Fun to worry about as well for Rain. So for Gen 5 and Gen 6, important thing to keep in mind is that Two of the best Pokemon to be like good into rain have been introduced in these gens, and that's Amoonguss and Thundurus. Um, are just like very very good at just like eating hits or whatever. Amoonguss is like a little bit weaker in this gen because it has to have sleep clause because of dumb sleep mechanics in BW where it your sleep counter gets reset when you switch out. Um, well, okay, it's like that in all the previous gens as well, but now it's like an actual big deal because Amoonguss is a Pokemon, and then so yeah, like you need to keep in mind that there's like Amoonguss and Thundurus now, Prankster T-Wave obviously like quite good into rain, completely like reversing your speed advantage with like the quartering of your speed that exists in Gen 5 and Gen 6. So yeah, that's Thundurus. With that T-Wave immunity, just like hits really hard, has Volt Switch as well. Can be Electric Gem even, but often you just see like Specs or something. One of those two items usually, and then Theraphorn is like a really really big one. Theraphorn in this tier is just like very very strong with rain up. Like a lot of the fire types aren't like that great at like dealing with the rain mode, so Theraphorn just becomes like very very difficult to knock out, and especially when you're paired with like mods like Gothitelle and Scrafty, and then you have like a Perish mode on Politoed as well. This team is just like one of the most broken teams I've ever seen in any like doubles format ever. So we'll start off with this one. This was actually like the finals tiebreak game from DPL. Um, yeah, this team was just like so incredibly well put together. I mean, I have to imagine like something similar is like still good even without Goth, but obviously like it's a major hit to lose like the Shadow Tag Pokemon. Um, but yeah, it's crazy having all the options on this team, like Thundurus for damage, Kingdra for damage, uh, Ferrothorn for like being like extremely annoying, clicking sub, and then like Curse Gyro Ball, and then I have Politoed for Perish Song, and like Scrafty is part of that mode as well. Yeah, this team was just insane. um, it's crazy that this was like legal for so long. But yeah, this team was basically like so strong that it kind of like got Shadow Tag banned like kind of by itself. Like it wasn't really Shadow Tag was obviously like great in general, but this was like the main thing it was used on, and it's like completely oppressive. Um, but also a couple things like also like Rotom now is has like the water type, so that's like pretty nice for like dealing with rain. But look at this matchup, and there's just like no way to ever turn off the rain. So you're just like playing it up with it up the entire game. It's crazy. When you look at it from like a modern perspective, that rain and like all the weather just like behaved like this back then. Um, but now you actually have like Latios Single, which Latios banned in Gen 3 and Gen 4. It's just like hits just like way too hard for those formats to really deal with. But you could do crazy stuff with this like Rain 6. Like you can see on this team, it's actually sub Kingdra. I believe with Life Orb on this team. And that obviously is like great because it makes you immune to like Fake Out, it makes you immune to T-Wave. And it's just like so good. We see another one of the great mons of BW, Genesect, come in here. Obviously able to just like click Choice Band Extreme Speed to great effect into some of these rain teams, but it's not like the rain team doesn't have options into you as well, because obviously still have like Scrafty and stuff in general. It doesn't even make that much progress into Ferrothorn. Like, you can click Blaze Kick, but obviously, like, rains up all the time, so. Yeah, this team is just crazy, like. But we see Latios actually click Sunny Day, so that's one way to actually turn off the rain. But we're gonna see that this is actually not enough to stop this team. Because Sun only lasts for 5 turns. Yeah, this was like a crazy game. It's like the highest stakes imaginable. The last game of DPL. But this team just had like a generational performance in DPL. I think it was like 8 or 9-1. Oh yeah, I think Gothitelle can just like click for him. So yeah, even though Sun went up, now like Kingra's like slower than everything. Except for her Heatran, which will it'll only come in now after like a KO has been taken. I have to see Genesect come in here. But wow, this was like such a nail biter of a game. Watching it live. But yeah, Landorus like just forced again to click Echu and then knock out its own Pokemon. Really, really unfortunate Shadow Tag gameplay. So yeah, this is why this Pokemon is banned. We've seen Psychic mysteriously target the Heatran. I shouldn't say mysteriously. It's a pretty good play to like leave Lando alive, but Heatran is able to quick substitute to first stall its fate a little bit longer. Um, Spiriform drops to burn. Thunderous clicks Focus Blast. Stopatel's gonna go down. This game is ridiculous. Double Protect on the Heatran. 50% for Double Protect in this gen, as in Gen 4 and Gen 3. Thunderous actually doesn't even get the kill with Focus Blast, but Self UQ is going to knock out the Lando, and then there goes the Focus Blast to knock out the Lando. So yeah, even in the face of like Sunny Day Latios, this team was still able to like get the W. And here's like a couple more. I grabbed a couple more replays from this TPL. I hope I hacked you. Powerful words in the face of this team. Dude, I don't do it the greatest rage bait of all time. Was Cocktail Shadow Tag never released in Gen 5? I'm guessing one of the mods just had like Shed Tail. And that's why it was able to switch out. Yeah, Amogus, Shed Tail Amogus. Let's go. Yeah, I guess I don't even really have that much to say other than like playing these replays. Because like obviously like Kingdra is still like just a broken mon. The fairy type doesn't exist yet. Metagross is still a broken mon, although we're not seeing it on these teams. And then Theraforn is kind of like the steel type of choice on this team. Although like you could definitely like run Rain with Metagross. Oh yeah, and then that's the other thing that was completely evil. Like you could skill swap Shadow Tag onto your Theraforn. Oh my god, man, this team was so broken. This team was so broken. Yeah, and it's just like, how do you ever remove like the Theraform with a team like this? I'm guessing that's just like what happened in this game. Well, Jellicent can kind of sit on it for a while, but not really the perfect answer. Kira just stuck using Outrage to the wrong target multiple turns in a row. Yeah, dude, it's just the crazy, like the amount of options you could fit on these 6 Pokemon is just ridiculous. So yeah, that's kind of like Raid in this format for you. You just have like so many good mods. Like obviously, like there's a few other things you could use. You could use Metagross. You could use like probably regular Thundurus as well, although it's usually Thun T. So yeah, I guess I should have been playing this replay faster, but it just goes that way. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see like where Rain goes in this format. As here we see a Abomasnow, which is definitely like a pretty solid mon you could use into this. Like Jellicent, I didn't mention this is also like a great mon into this Rain team, but it struggles. It can still like heavily threatened out by like Theraforn if it actually has a grass move, Thundurus which just like blows it up, and then like obviously like Scrafty can hit it as well. But still Jellicent like with that like Trick Room stuff, just like being like such a great bulky Trick Room setter in this format is like a pretty big deal. But I don't think it was quite enough in this game either. Oh man, this team just like had a generational run this year. Yeah, there's the Jellicent getting completely melted by that that Muddy Water. Or no, not the Muddy Water, the Thunder. So yeah, that's Gen 5 for you. And so then going to Gen 6 is like hell of really big changes, right? So obviously there's Megas. Oh, that's not Gen 6. Um, so Rain is actually like really hyper optimized in Gen 6. So the big changes for Rain, um, as Rain is no longer permanent from Politoed, um, and I guess that's kind of like the main thing. But then you also have Mega Swampert. So Mega Swampert is just like an incredible Pokemon. In terms of like raw stats, it's like it actually like can hang with like some of like the stronger Megas, which is pretty impressive, really. Like it's not like the mon you'd really traditionally think of as like one of the main Megas, but it really is just like kind of at that power level where it can be really strong. And so this is like actually like the most common Rain 6. I believe it's a sample team actually. And then like Talonflame is another great addition just for like sniping Amoonguss with like Yowling's Brave Ribbers, and so like that's just like quite strong. And so you Ludicolo back, just like a rare like strong takeout one in this tier. Um, just offers like a lot of depth for Rain, just as like a lead, especially with like Politoed in this format. You see it often like in Gen 7 as well. Just like it's just a great like lead option for Rain in the gens with Politoed, because just like threatening fake out, being able to threaten like both like a really strong attack and also like the fastest fake out is really strong because obviously like you're faster than everything, and then you also have fake out. So like you outspeed all the other fake out guys like King or whatever. In Gen 7 it's also really strong. It can be like a Z move there, which is just crazy. We'll see a little bit in that a bit. So yeah, this is there's like just this is kind of, I guess, like the Rain gen. Like you see it a lot in Gen 7 as well and Gen 8, but to me this is kind of the one where it's like, yeah, this is like a really really dominant archetype. You could use this is just like one Rain variation. We've seen like a lot of development this year actually with like a lot of different Rain teams in XY. But this is the one that's just been around for forever. Life Orb Kingdra, Rocky Helmet, Ludicolo, and then Eject Button, Politoed. I think it's Goggles, Thunderous to help with like Amoonguss, but obviously it just has like strong Thunder as well. And then Choice Band Talonflame, which is just the GOAT. And so yeah. Let's see, how did this game actually go? Oh, and then like, oh yeah, Politoed just like can run Hypnosis too, so that's nice. And something that's just like feels like so frustrating on like a lot of these Rain teams in this format is that even if you have like a really like good matchup in the Rain, like Politoed could just like sink Hypnosis into you, and that can actually be kind of difficult to stop. And so if they land, like it's just like, well, I guess I lose. Really big Muddy Water miss there. As we're gonna see the Rocky Helmet come out now, Muddy Water's just gonna kill both mons. Yeah, Kingdra is like, even in this gen where like the Fairy type exists, but um, it's like not quite at its like peak. Like you don't have like you don't have the Tapus yet, so like best Fairy type mons are like Mega Gardevoir, which is like not that splashable, and then Sylveon, which is just like a little bit underpowered. Kingdra is still just like really good. You'll see like a bit of a fall off with it in Gen 7, although it's still usable. I can still like run Z move just like Ludicolo, but it's not really the most common Rain Sweeper. At least in the time that I've been around. I know it's been used like in SM in the past, but it's really just like not quite as common in Gen 7 as it is in Gen 6. But even in Gen 6, you can start to see Rain teams kind of drop it. But there's just like so many good Rain pieces starting in Gen 6 now, where you have like, I guess Swampert is an addition that like there's so much flexibility now with the archetype where like that kind of wasn't really like as much of a deal in previous gens. As we see Wurblitz go into Salamence for some reason. But I believe the Talonflame wins this game anyway, yeah. I feel like this was like not the way this game was supposed to play out, but yeah, just this is kind of like a good this is just the Rain team. And then, so this is actually a more recent innovation that kind of came around during DPL. I believe the original team was built by Z. And it actually, like, it drops Thundai, so it's on T, for like a little bit more offense, and then it drops Kingdra for Bisharp, which pairs a lot better with Swampert and like Talonflame. But you do lose out on Kingdra, but you know now like I mean you still have two like Swift abusers, and that's just like really the beauty of Rain in this format, right? Like you can kind of pick and choose the mons you're actually using with it. And Bisharp's just like really strong, like just being paired with like Talon Flame on in its own right, and then like Swampert is just great. So this team was like really strong, especially for like the first couple months. I think people have like kind of like gotten a little bit more used to playing around it, but Bisharp's just an incredible Rain mon. Like obviously it benefits from Rain as well, although Bisharp's so frail that it doesn't even like doesn't really benefit that much. But like it's still a steel type on Rain. Like it's a good typing. Um, and see, I mean, a couple other things to keep in mind in this tier, like obviously Amoonguss is really good. Amoonguss is at full power, so that's kind of like a main hurdle for Rain, right? But you still have like Talonflame for it, which is nice. You have like Fun for it with usually goggles on like the main Rain team. And then Gastrodon, like as we see here, is the thing, but this one is a little bit underpowered. Like you see it sometimes, but uh, I wouldn't really call it incredible or anything. But it's definitely usable. Just kind of like just a good Rain matchup, but it's not a fix in and of itself because you have Ludicolo for that, and then it can still be hit pretty hard by like EQ and stuff. Although this team is pretty well prepared for Rain. What we see here, like Gastrodon, like Lando is still value, priority, and Sucker Punch, and Brave Bird from Talonflame and Bisharp. And then Kyurem obviously is still quite good. Like Kyurem Black, ridiculous Pokemon, just like one of the best into Rain across all the gens, starting in Gen 5. Especially like when it starts to be able to like run Assault Vest in Gen 6. That's not even really like the main set, but regardless of the set, like Kyurem is quite good, even if it's like substitute or whatever. Just like Dragon type, bulky enough to be like able to live like anything. Just like kind of a hurdle for Rain to get through. But let's see here, like this team just like kind of unable to like make quite enough progress in this game. But don't get me wrong, this team is just like a ridiculously strong iteration. That kind of came around this year, so worth keeping an eye on. So yeah, that's kind of Gen 6, like Swampert and like Steel types. You don't really see Metagross as much in this gen. This is kind of the one where like you don't see it as much, but it could still maybe be used. Like I had a Rain team with like Mega Metagross that I used in XY like about a year ago. I don't know if I actually brought it to a tournament game, but it seemed like a fair amount of play from like other people. And it's a pretty good team. Like Mega Metagross has like so much stats, but it doesn't like uh it's not quite as good as like just like splashing Metagross on in like Gen 3 or Gen 4 or Gen 5. But yeah, you just have like so much flexibility starting in Gen 6. Gen 6 really where like the builder starts to open up for like a lot of different archetypes, but Rain's not really an exception. Like despite XY like having a reputation for like being very centralized, there's still like a lot of different Pokemon available in the format, so that's really cool. And so like yeah, we've seen like a lot of different Rain teams pop up. Did I grab another Gen 6 replay? I hope I did. Let's see. Did I really not? Tragic. Okay, well I guess that'll be it for Gen 6, but I think I kind of covered the main points, but there was also like a Rain team with like Megaments that I think Z also built, and it was pretty cool because it had it was like Megaments, Thundurus, Aegislash. Like it had like Lando Eye and then like Politoed Kingdra, so it was not like completely dedicated to like the Rain mode, but it just like had Rain as a mode, and I thought that was like really cool. I think Arctic used it in DPL. I could probably find it real quick. Let's see. Hopefully it's public. Yeah, here it is. But yeah, so this is like another Raid team that popped up this year. Probably one of my favorites. I just think like it's just like a really interesting take on Rain in this format, with Aegislash as a steel type. So why did the music stop, man? What the hell? Hold on a second. Alright, we're back. Okay. Well, yeah, I mean, like, there's also, like, Volcanion to be afraid of in this format. Like, AV Volcanion is, like, pretty decent to Rain, like, just because, like, it can't be, kind of, like, killed in one hit. But that's why this team is really cool. Like, you have Meds for that, you have Thundurus for that, you have Lando for that. And so even though, like, I think this team is cool because it's, like, explicitly, like, pretty well prepared for Volcanion. Just because it's like not quite as committal to the rain mode, but like you can still see like Kingdra getting value from this team. How did this game play out? Let's see. Mega Mets is like a mon that has like so many like potential highs in this tier. It does have some weaknesses, but it's still like quite good in general. So, wow, that just killed. That's crazy. I think the Mets on this team was like more specially heavy and it had like Draco Meteor, which is really cool. I used it myself at some point, which is I think probably why I remember most of the sets. But yeah, this team was just like really, really good. Yeah, so like XY, you get like a lot more flexibility with these rain teams, which is pretty cool. Between like Swampert and then like the usual suspects like Kingdra. So yeah, that's kind of Gen 6. Alright, let's move on to Gen 7 after this. We'll finish this up. Yeah, I think there's just too much material for Ned to really come back from that one. Alright, let's talk about Gen 7. So Gen 7, still a lot of flexibility. This is a rain team that I think Gen 1 built earlier this year. I don't think this is like the original replay with it, but this was just like, I thought this was like really cool. So yeah, Mega Metagross really good in this format. You can use Meta Metagross with rain. There was like a couple like really popular teams a few years ago with like Mega Gardevoir rain teams. And those were like pretty popular. I think Mega Gardevoir had like kind of like a spike in usage in SM a few years ago, like 2020, 2021. Like kind of like early times after the current gen. But nowadays, like you can see like a lot of different things. Ludicolo, just like such an impressively like strong Pokemon on lead. Like just like leading like Rain plus Ludicolo threatens so many options with the Z move and Fake Out access. And so this team's really cool to me because I don't know, it just like looks cool. Like it has like the rain mode, and then it has like Metagross to benefit from the rain, and then we have Lele Metagross for like strong Zen headbutt stuff, which is kind of a thing in this tier. It's not like it's just like something you can do, and I think it's just like really cool on this team. Just like really interesting take on rain, and then you have like Scarfland OI. I think it's Scarf at least. I don't think it wins this game, but it is just like a really cool team. I remember it like got a win earlier this year. Yeah, just like really cool take on it. So yeah, in this tier, like you kind of see like a little bit less Kingdra, like the fairy type is like real now. Although the mon is still like okay, but yeah, Ludicolo is just like a really threatening mon with it. And now you also have Drizzle on Pelipper as well, so like that gives you some more flexibility. You can really use both. I kind of like prefer Politoed usually, but a lot of people like Pelipper as well, just because like it's a little bit more of an offensive slant. It can like run Tailwind and stuff, which is nice. Also like Wide Guard or whatever. So yeah, Rain is definitely like a respectable archetype in this format. It's not like the craziest thing in the world. But I think like when I first started playing SM, when those like Gardevoir teams were like a little bit more common, I was kind of like more spammed. But yeah, something like this team is just like really cool to me. And there's like so many things you can do with it in this format. In VGC and SM, there was like a really strong like Mega Scissor team. That like also had like Ludicolo or whatever. So Scissor is also something you can use. I actually use it in World Cup. With Goth, because Goth is still legal in this format. I think this is like a really good example of like the strength that Ludicolo like applies on lead. As we see, I have like Politoed on this team for like Parish Song stuff. And so yeah, I would just like get the Fake Out on turn 1. My opponent still has to like respect me attacking, so Fake Out's just really safe. But now I have like Goth in, and I just like get to kill the Ments, and it's just like, well, nice man. And I still haven't even burned my Z move. Zeraora is like kind of there's a couple of, okay, in terms of like things Rain has to respect, that's in this tier, there's a few different ones, right? So Zeraora is on like a lot of teams. Zeraora is an incredible Pokemon. This is like one of the best like doubles Pokemon ever designed. And like it kind of just like spams Snarl and like Fake Out and stuff, and it's like a major hurdle for like a lot of these Rain teams. You do see Mega Swampert a little bit, but it's not as common, so into a lot of the Rain teams, Zeraora is like really, really good. Feeny is also like incredible. Like Calm Mind Feeny can be difficult for rain teams to deal with. Although Although you have like a new like really strong Thunder Clicker with Coco that I'm using on this team. Um, so that's like a thing as well. And then like Kartana, which is just an incredible Pokemon in Gen 7. It can run Tailwind to like kind of counter your rain, so that's something to be wary of as well. But so yeah, like Gen 7 is just like XY. There's like so many different things you could be played against, and so many things you could use on your rain team, and that's part of what's like really cool. But here's like one strength of rain, maybe less so of this specific one that I'm using. Important to remember, there's like no dynamic speed here, so I actually kind of want to highlight this turn. Where my opponent if my opponent, because there's no dynamic speed, my Ludicolo is slower this turn, so I get the Z move into the full Corona. But if my opponent protected, I would have still gotten chip, and then I would have been faster the next turn. And so I thought that was a really cool interaction from this game. So yeah, you can like lots of different ways to deal with Feeny, even though Feeny is like such a big threat because they can just like click Calm Mind and it's just like so bulky. But I think Zeraora is kind of like the bigger one. Zeraora, Kartana, and Feeny. Those are like the big three for rain to deal with. Everything else kind of won't give you an issue, but Zeraora is like seriously a threat because it's just like so good at the Coco, which you naturally want to use like on a team like this. And then like Kartana obviously is like more of a threat, and like specifically like I think that's kind of like why Swampert is a little bit less strong in this format. Like Kartana is just like so annoyed for it to deal with. Like the strongest thing you're hitting it with is Earthquake, and that's just like not that strong as a spread move. It's just into a mon that has such high defense. So yeah, usually you see like more like specially oriented rain teams. Should probably try to see if I can find that like both those Gardevoir teams that I was talking about. I don't know where they'd be. So, but yeah, Scizor is really cool because like it's just like a good rain recipient. And just like SD mon. It's like Scizor is not like the most common mon in this tier. I don't want to give that impression, but it is. It just has like it just has just enough to be like viable, you know. So this game is basically wrapped up at this point. Let's see, what else did I grab for SM? Is that really it? Let's see. Okay, yeah. Before we move on, let me see if I can like dig around on forums a little bit and try to find kind of the rain teams I was talking about with Gardevoir, because I think those teams are still quite good. I think there was like an Ezreal team and there was like an Emilio team. Yeah, here's a rain team as well. Yeah, here's... Okay. I guess I was getting it mixed up. I think one of them has Gardevoir, the other one doesn't. But yeah, here's like an example of like Kingdra Rain, like can just run specs. Coco just like great, like Rainmon. And then like Komodo, which is just has like the craziest move of all time. But yeah, then Mega Metagross is just like a great mon to use on Rain. As you can see on like both of these, okay, I guess just on this one. This one's a Swampert Rain. I've actually never seen this team before. This looks cool. Couple of unique choices. You can see the hidden power fire on Coco to specifically deal with Kartana a little bit better. But yeah, Gothitelle just crazy mon. Ludicolo, not Z-move on this team. That actually is going to be the Kyurem, but Fake Out Axe is still so nice. Oh, okay, Swampert has superpower. So okay, that does help with Kartana a little bit. But still kind of an annoying mon to deal with, because like now you're walled by Mets by dropping Ice Punch, so yeah. A little bit tougher for Swampert in this format. But yeah, this was kind of like the main raid team that like I remember from like when I was first playing SM. Yeah, I don't really know if I have much to say, but yeah, this is something else you could do with Rain. There's just so many directions in SM. Let's see if I can find that Gardevoir one. That's a Gen 9 replay. Yeah, here's the one that I kind of remember. Wow, long ass description. But yeah, this team was like quite good. Akaberry Amogus, that's kind of funny. But yeah, Gardevoir just a great clicker. So these are a couple of Kingdra teams. I haven't really seen it as much like in recent years of as much of Kingdra, but still like a respectable mon. Like Specs Kingdra is still quite good. But yeah, it's starting to get like a little bit tougher for Kingdra. Like the stats are like maybe like a little bit less good by now, but yeah, Kartana's another mon you can use on Rain, but mostly for dealing with like opposing Feeny, it's nice. Like it's not like living any fire move ever anyways, but um, it's still quite good at dealing with Feeny, which would like otherwise be a problem for this. But that's something else that like Gardevoir is kind of nice for, right? Because like it has Psyshock to get around like the Calm Mind boost or whatever. So yeah, cool team here. Might be some more down here. Let's see. Doesn't look like it, but yeah, Rain definitely like very very good in this format. Okay, so that's going to be Gen 7. So a couple big changes, like less Swampert from Gen 6. But you can still use Kingdra, and now like Pelipper is like nice as well. But it's really like those introduction of those wands, like Zeraora and like Kartana and Feeny that are like the main hurdles for Rain in this format. But you just have like so many options to deal with it that Rain is still definitely fine. So now we'll move on to Gen 8, where Rain is just like also very, very, very good. So many different things you can do with it. So this first team here, you can see is a Dracovish Rain team. So Dracovish Rain with Torn and like manual Rain became kind of a bigger deal in Gen 8. Well, okay, the Dracovish was introduced, and then there's Dynamic Speed, so like it's now an archetype. But yeah, this became like kind of like a mainstay of the tier, like kind of like as SS became an old gen a couple years ago. And so yeah, you have to worry about Rillaboom now, but thankfully we have Zarina for blocking Glide. And the advantage with this kind of Rain team is you have Dracovish was obviously very good with Dynamic Speed, just like Vicious Friend, ridiculously powerful move. And you see Coco on this team. Coco's not that great in this format, unfortunately, but it is something you could run. But yeah, Rillaboom is kind of like the main guy you kind of have to worry about with these teams. So I wouldn't call this the most like standard Rain team or anything, but it's definitely like something you could do with it. Oh, DNC ate that. Yeah, so there's a few different things you can do with Rain in this tier. All of which are all like very strong. Like when I was first playing SS, kind of like late current gen, there was like a really strong like actual early sample team with like Urshifu. Urshifu is just like so strong in Rain, like it's almost impossible to stop. With like Rain up, like defensively switching on, it's like really hard. And then you have like Ferrothorn, which is again quite difficult to deal with on Rain, especially in this gen because now Ferrothorn has access to Iron Defense Body Press, so that makes Ferrothorn like quite a threat. Yeah, and then like what else is there? Yeah, Zarina's great on Rain just for blocking like Rillaboom stuff. Dracovish is an option. Urshifu's an option. Kingdra is still an option. Kingdra a little bit like I'd say it's a little bit understated by now, but like it's still okay. It doesn't really hit quite as it's not really like as bad as it is in like Gen 9, where it really feels like understated, but definitely like it's starting to get there. But you can also use Zapdos. Zapdos now has access to Hurricane in Gen 9, or not Gen 9, Gen 8. So that's like a really big deal for helping deal with Rillaboom as well. Let's see, not quite enough to get it done this time. And yeah, here's kind of like one of the Ferrothorn iterations. That's just like so difficult to deal with Ferrothorn. Once Rain is up, then it can like insert so much like pressure offensively with like body press, iron defense stuff. But yeah, we see the Kingdra on this one. Really cool team this was that Vespi built with P2 and like Ferrothorn as a mode, and then with like Kingdra Politoed as a mode, and then Zarina still quite good on Rain. Like getting that defensive value of like weakening fire moves is really nice, and then blocking priority is nice. So Zarina is kind of like one of the main guys in this format for Rain. We actually see it on both teams here. Not like the most common Pokemon, but definitely like a respectable one in this format. Much more than like Gen 7 or Gen 9. But yeah, dynamic speed is such a big deal for Kingdra, being able to like switch in and like get that rain boost. But obviously it's a double-edged sword, like you're a little bit more weak to like opposing Tailwind teams now. But yeah, just Hydro Pump just doing a billion. Therefore gets an iron defense up. But yeah, Kyurem is also a guy to be feared in this far, because now Kyurem has access to Freeze Dry, so AV Kyurem is like really, really threatening into Rain. But that's not quite enough to stop it on its own, because Rain just has like so many options to use. And so yeah, like one of the main benefits I'd say of Ferrothorn on Rain, across all formats, but especially in this one, is like the most common like fire damage move is like Heat Wave, and like in Rain that's like not even enough to like get a kill. So Ferrothorn in that way is able to just like kind of exert pressure even into Pokemon it normally wouldn't be able to, which is just crazy. So yeah, we see like now we see Ferrothorn P2 like putting in so much pressure. Although now there's glide access. This was like a really good play on this turn by Highbone. Makes this game like all of a sudden like so much more dangerous for Fespi. Yeah, I usually don't really see Pelipper, I think, in this format. I think it's usually Politoed, but there's no Gothitelle shenanigans in this format, and because they gave Gothitelle Fake Out, so no funny Perish Song modes on the Rain teams anymore, which is definitely a good thing. That stuff is crazy. Yeah, we see the big Leech Seed there onto the Volcanion as it substitutes. I think the Kingdra on this team was like, yeah, it was Hurricane, which is like a really nice option that Kingdra got in this gen, which is for hitting Rillaboom and stuff. That's impressive damage from a non-stab Hurricane. Life Orb Kyurem. That's depressing psychic damage onto the Rillaboom. So yeah, Rillaboom, again, such like a big threat for these kind of teams. But we see actually like really bulky Kingdra actually ends up living that Life Orb Ice Beam, which is just ridiculous. Not exactly like the standard bulk on Kingdra, but definitely like viable, as you can see in this game. So yeah, really close game, but ends up with the Rain team coming out on top. And so yeah, here's another common Rain team with like Torn and Dracovish, which is just like so threatening when you could just like click Tailwind Vicious Rend on any turn. But yeah, we see Feeny still a thing, quite good into these kind of teams. I'll probably move quickly through this one. Let's see. But yeah, Ferrothorn again. But in this game, wasn't quite enough to make progress into this, like Kyurem and Feeny and whatnot. Very interesting Kyurem set, by the way, Citrus DD. But yeah, this is kind of like a Rain team I've seen a few times. Mostly using the Vish as the abuser. I don't think this is like a particularly incredible team. I prefer the ones that have like some kind of other Rain abuser, but it's still quite good. I think not having the spread damage is kind of sad, but like Ferrothorn and Dracovish are definitely like still very potent abusers to be using. Let's see. Okay, yeah, and then here's kind of like another Rain iteration. Actually, this might be the same as no, a little bit different than the Fespi one. But yeah, same component. You got the Rillaboom blocker, and you got Urshifu now. Ferrothorn, which is so good. You have P2 for that as well. Just like so much flexibility afforded to these teams in like a 6v6 format. It's really, really cool. But also makes them so annoying to deal with. Big Hydro Pump. But yeah, you can see Kingdra like still hits, even in like the modern day. These like rain boosted moves are like no joke. Just obliterates the Zygarde. That's just crazy. And just enough bulk to be able to eat that CC from, I don't know what the set is. It's probably like, oh yeah, it's definitely Scarf, but outside the Mew, so yeah. But yeah, and just another kind of raid team. Rain is like so good in this format as well. Rain is really, I mean, I guess the big thing in this video is Rain is not bad in any tier until Gen 9. And even still, Rain, so entering Gen 9, few things. Urshifu is now banned. We banned Basket Legion, which was a new mon. When Basque was legal, it was like just ridiculous, powerful like rain damage and whatever. And then we also had Arcaludon. So there was like a lot of mons, rain mons in SV that ended up being banned. So the most significant of which was Arcaludon because it's legal for the longest time. So there was a couple different Arcaludon teams I chose to highlight for this one. Kind of difficult to cover SV because like it's obviously like so recent. We've seen all the different development the last few years, but Rain kind of at its weakest at this point. You could still use like Kingdra and stuff, but definitely feels like a bit undervalued or like underpowered with like mons like Wellspring running around, and then Whirlboom is still a thing. You don't have to worry about Fading anymore, but dealing with Wellspring is an arguably even bigger challenge. And you can also you see Basque as well, but Basque F is not quite as good as the other one, so a little bit difficult to get value. But yeah, Rain with like Cine and Arcaludon and like Pelipper and then like a Rain Abuser was like really strong. Sometimes they just like drop the Rain Abuser, like a really common one had what's it? Landorus is like kind of like the Rain Clicker instead with access to Sandsteer Storm. So that's like another big thing, like they added the Rain moves for the genies. Sandsteer is the most relevant one. Usually you couldn't really fit Torn on Rain, and then Bund is like kind of like outclassed by this point. But yeah, Sandsteer just like an incredible buff for Lando, making it fit like really well on Rain. Doesn't like fit the most naturally, I guess, on Rain, but like it's still such a powerful move coming off of like Life Orb Sheer Force. That like the benefit of being 100% accurate in range just like makes it worth it. It was usually a Scarf on these kind of teams. Yeah, Arcaludon was just crazy. Like Stamina Body Press and then like Electro Shot. Just like a really powerful like setup sweeper. Like a different genre of Rain, really. Like there's no like I guess Ferrothorn kind of functions as like a sweat up mon, but there's nothing really comparable to Arcaludon, which is like incredible like stamina, Electro Shot or whatever. And I mean like yeah, this mon was just crazy. Sinistcha is also nice on Rain. With like the like dropping the fire immunity, but not really seen as much anymore. I mean, Rain's not really as much a thing anymore in general, but it was really just like quite good with Arch. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. Arcaludon with Terra moment. Let's see. Yeah, here's a replay where I lost to this. This was like one of the most common Rain teams. I think it was built by Z, but yeah. Burns used it multiple times in SCL, or like very similar teams at least. Yeah, this team was like just like really dangerous. You have your Landorus is the Rain Abuser, Arcaludon is like the setup mon, and then Ogrepon's like just a great like Rain Clicker as well. Just Ivy Cudgel is so strong. This is just a crazy replay for Arcaludon. It just it ate like a +3 Terra Tixie Plate D-Gleam like it was like nothing. Shit did 54, man. This spawn was nuts. But yeah. So no more Arcaludon, but Rain is definitely like not like it's not like it's untenable anymore, but it's definitely like a bit weaker nowadays, so yeah. Let's see. Did I have anything else for SV? There was also some like really strong teams early on with like Barraskewda and stuff as like the rain clickers, but that kind of was like a pre-home thing. So yeah, I guess the big thing SV like Overpon kind of killed Rain, and then dynamic speed control still like it kind of like works more against its favor in this format because it's difficult to kind of keep up with like Genie stuff. And even like Roaring Moon, like Kingdra's not even faster than Roaring Moon. If Kingdra's modest, so a lot of factors working against Rain and SV, but yeah, I guess that's kind of like an overview of Rain in all the formats. Definitely the weakest in SV. And so it's interesting to see how like Rain progressed from like just like having like manual Rain with like just like Kingdra and stuff and like the old gens to like Kingdra still playing like a really big role, but then you see like Swampert is like a really big deal, and then and Gen 8, Dracovish and Urshifu are like a really big deal. And then it's really interesting to see like the defensive mons that are like also paired with Rain across the different gens. Like you see like Metagross early on, and then you see Ferrothorn in a couple formats, and then yeah, and then because several offensive mons like Talonflame being used a lot of the time to beat like Amoonguss in Gen 6, and then yeah, just really interesting to see how Rain evolves over the different formats. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. Yeah, we'll catch you next time. I think I'll probably cover Trick Room next. I think this went pretty well, so I'll probably try to cover Trick Room in the next video. If you have any other archetype suggestions, comment them down below, and yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.